and welcome to this tutorial video for Prog 1210 Rapid Application Development. This final video in the security series shows you how to use the user identities object and the user roles in order to show or hide various parts of page content. This is our welcome page, so this is the landing spot after a user is logged in, either through new registration or through the login page. And you can see this page isn't too exciting right now. There's only a label and a sign out link. So the first part of this tutorial is going to show you how to change the label based on the user's authentication, their username, and their roles. And during the second part, I'll show you how to code the sign out link so that users can sign out of the website. So if we go into the code view of this page, I'm going to put the code into our page load event. So we're going to change that welcome label as soon as the user lands on this page. Now we've got three possibilities of user types at this point. We have users who are not authenticated, that is, you haven't signed in yet, or we have signed in regular users, that is, users who aren't in the administrator role that we created, and the third option is signed in the administrator role. So we can do an if-else statement to determine between these three types. So we're going to look at our user object here. If the user's identity is authenticated, that means that they're signed in. So that means a not authenticated user, we can put in the exclamation point and reverse the logic of this. So if the user is not authenticated, we can put a message in the welcome label that says, "You are not logged in." And maybe we want to put a link there as well back to the login page. The else branch means that the user is authenticated. So that branch covers the signed in users that are regular users and the signed in users that are administrators. So first we want to see whether or not they're in the administrator role. Now to find out if the user is in the role, we can do an if statement, go into the user object again, and use the isInRole function here. So we're going to determine whether or not the current user is in a specific role. And if you'll remember from the previous videos, the role that I set up was called administrator. So if they are an administrator, that means we're in this case where they're signed in as an administrator. And we're going to welcome them with a special message. Welcome administrator. And the else branch here says, well, they're signed in, but they're not in the administrator role, so they're just a regular user, and we can greet these regular users by name. So put up the welcome, but in here we'll also use the user identity to get the user's name. So when we run this site, we'll end up with one of these three messages based on the user's identity. If they're not authenticated, we'll see this message here. And if they are authenticated, we'll check whether or not they're the administrator and either show them the generic administrator message, or if they're just a regular user, we'll welcome them by name using the name property of the user's identity. Last but not least, we'll code the sign out button. We'll go back here, double click on the sign out link button, and we'll sign out the current user. Now the one problem with this is that if you are not an authenticated user, you probably shouldn't see a link to sign out. So we'll make a change up here to hide that sign out button, that is, change its visible property to false. That way, if you're not authenticated, you don't get a sign out button. So the code for our sign out button is as follows. It's very similar to the sign in button in that we need to create that authentication manager object from our current OWIN context. But this time, instead of our authentication manager signing in, we're going to sign out instead. So our authentication manager signs you out, and then we're going to redirect you back to the login page. So now our site with site security is complete. Hope you enjoyed these video tutorials, and I will see you in class.